In this video, we discuss 10 traits that happy retirees have in common. Coming up next on Holy Schmidt.
Holy Schmidt!
A few years ago, I read an article from Time magazine called The Plateau Effect. And the premise of the article is that Americans don't get much happier beyond an income level of about $75,000, at least when it comes to money. I had an aha moment related to this article about 2 months ago when I was down in Florida. And I have many friends down in Florida because I live in New York, and the natural place for people to retire to or vacation to is Florida. But I caught up with two of them that had moved down there to retire. One was a very wealthy hedge fund manager, and we had lunch and we got to talking about life. And what he said to me was, ever since I left the business, I really just wanted to disappear. I bought a house in this golf club community where I can live at least 6 months and one day, obviously for tax reasons. But my goal day to day is to stay away from anything that I used to do before. I try not to read the newspaper. I try not to watch the news. I try to stay away from people that are talking about business. I really just want to disappear. To which I asked him how long he's been doing this. And he said, well, ever since he moved down there, which was about 2 years. Now, what's really interesting about him is that he has always been a bit stoic when you talk to him, but he seemed very, very unhappy. And so I probed. I said, do you have friends? Do you go out? Do you do anything social? And he said, well, from time to time, but not really. I like my privacy, and a lot of people in this golf club community do too. So we kind of keep to ourselves, except for when we're at the clubhouse. And I said, how many games of golf do you play a week? And he said, well, I haven't played in the last 6 months. Interesting, I thought. And clearly what I saw was someone who was somewhat depressed. I asked him how long you're going to continue on being remote and not contacting other people. He said, maybe I'll start to dip my toe in the water in about a year. The next day, I caught up with another friend. Now, he actually had a reason to be unhappy, but he wasn't unhappy. In fact, he was very happy. He had been through a bad divorce about 3 or 4 years earlier. He lost half of everything that he had, which wasn't much to begin with. And at the end of it all, he moved down to Florida to start anew. He bought a 2-bedroom condo, and his social life revolves around the health club that he works out at. He uses the health club as a jumping point for different things. He'll meet friends there for pickleball, or they'll go outside of the club and have lunch, or they'll go see a movie or do something else from there. But he said he has about 4 or 5 relationships that are building from there. One thing he did say is he doesn't really want to start a romantic relationship with anybody from the club because if things don't work out, well, this is his place to meet people, not to meet people. Fair enough, I thought. So then you look at the list that we're going to talk about, and I can tell you for a fact there are 10 solid go-to moves that people go to make themselves happy or to be happy in retirement, and only one involves money. The rest involve other things, and we're going to talk about those in a moment, but you could see a very significant difference between person number one, who had all the money in the world, more than they could ever spend, and person number two, who was just happy to be out of a bad relationship and starting over. So let's talk about this list now. Number one, excellent money habits. Now, I'm not talking about person number one who has tens of millions of dollars. I'm talking about just being the master of what you have. Having your mortgage paid off, having a budget, having part-time income from consulting or some other type of activity so that you stay financially engaged as well, at least while you're still young enough to do so. The key isn't being employed in a career, but having several sources of income coming in, not just Social Security or a pension. Now, I will say that this has a significant mindset shift because up until somebody retires, at least part-time retires if they're working part-time, they're at the top of their career and they are the go-to person for what they're good at. To step back and look at this and say, I'm not doing this for a career, I'm doing it for cash flow, requires a significant shift in mindset. But once you get that shift, you've got the shift. You need to understand that you need to shift from one large paycheck to multiple small ones, for example. These small but numerous streams of income give a retiree peace of mind. They don't lie awake at night worrying about running out of money. The second habit is what I call having core pursuits. A core pursuit isn't just a hobby, it's a hobby on steroids. It's something that you're really passionate about and you can throw yourself into, even if it's a little silly. Many of you know I collect coins. I'm passionate about that. I love doing it. I love the history. I love looking at that coin. I love thinking about who held that coin or who didn't hold that coin. But is it kind of geeky? Yeah, of course. But I love it. From what I read, happy retirees have between 3 and 4 core pursuits. Unhappy ones have less than 2, maybe even less than 1. Some retirees take trips to new and interesting places, and these trips don't need to cost a lot of money. Others like to explore their neighborhood and see what they did not know before and try to learn something new about that neighborhood every single day or every single week. Some build model ships, others restore old cars. It doesn't matter whether other people think it's important or not. It matters that you think it's important. I've met retirees who blow glass, write novels, practice taxidermy. It doesn't matter what it is to someone else, it just matters if it's important to you. But these core pursuits give a retiree a reason to get up in the morning beyond, I'm just going to enjoy life here in paradise because I've earned it. So start thinking now about that thing or those things that you always wanted to do in retirement, but you never had the time because now you do. Number 3, taking vacations. Happy retirees take a lot of vacations. In fact, the average number of vacations a happy retiree takes in a year, according to my research, is about 2.4. The unhappy ones take 1, 1.2, 1.3. Now you might be thinking, it's just one more trip. What is the big deal? Well, that one extra trip can make a huge difference in your life. The difference between 2.5 vacations a year, or I suppose 2 to 3 vacations a year, and 1 to 2 vacations a year means one extra vacation. Vacations create new experiences and variety. They break up what could be a very boring day into something to look forward to. In fact, when you're done with your vacation, have the next one already in planning mode. Even if it's just a long weekend to a nearby city that you've been fascinated about, one that you really wanted to go to, or if you are looking to do something a little bit more elaborate, get an America the Beautiful Pass and tour the national parks. The important thing is to experience new places and make new memories. Number 4, enhance family relationships. There's a very good research piece, I'll put it in the description below, that talks about living near your children. And people are a lot more happy if they live near half or more of their children. I guess the article assumes that you have more than one child, but the point is that having a relationship with your children is quite important. Now, living near each other is great. Living with each other, now that's a different story. The happiest families maintain relationships without dependence. They enjoy spending time together, but they also have separate lives. This creates healthy boundaries and reduces stress. It allows grandparents to be with grandchildren without taking on full-time child care responsibilities. So aim to be close with your family, but not too close. Number 5 is maintaining a happy relationship with a spouse. Now, I talked about, when I opened up this video, how one of my friends is divorced, recently divorced, and supremely happy because of hope for the future. But if you have a spouse, maintaining a happy relationship with that spouse goes a long way to maintaining a happy retirement. In fact, if you have multiple divorces, maybe even one divorce, you'll have a lot of strain in retirement. But multiple divorces, there's a very good chance you'll have financial strain in retirement. Couples that have been together for 40 years or more report that they're twice as happy as any other time in their life except for their honeymoon. I call this the we made it phase of the relationship. And again, it's worth pointing out, this doesn't mean that you can't be supremely happy if you're single or if you're divorced. It's just another one of the 10 that adds to happiness a lot of the time if you get it right. If you get it right. Number 6, faith in giving back. Happy retirees tend to have a spiritual side and they tend to volunteer in their community. They help out where they can, and this uplifts their soul. And it doesn't matter what your specific belief is for this particular stat, other than having some sort of regular attendance to a place of worship seems to add to happiness in retirement. And there are a lot of reasons for this. Beyond the spiritual aspect, religious communities tend to do a lot more together, and they form a sense of community, a sense of involvement in a common purpose. And they also offer many opportunities to volunteer. Speaking of volunteering, happy retirees tend to give back a lot of their time and a bit of their money, but usually it's time more than money. It provides purpose and connection. It helps people feel like they're doing something with their lives to help the world, more than just bringing home a paycheck to fund the family machine. And even if you're not spiritual, finding a way to give back does increase happiness in retirement. The studies all show. Number 7, staying connected. Human beings are social creatures, but the construct of retirement actually makes it very easy to not be social because you don't have to leave the house if you have your finances all set because they come to you. So a lot of people, unfortunately, sit home and they do the one thing that you shouldn't do all day. They watch TV. Happy retirees work hard to build and maintain their social networks. In fact, they know the risk of losing that connection is a lot worse than just losing an opportunity to go have lunch with someone. It can affect them to the core, actually. And while marriage is important, we just talked about that, having friendships is maybe even more critical because the same level of expectation isn't there. This mirrors research from something called blue zones, where centenarians have lifelong friendships that they've had for dozens and dozens, decades, in fact. In fact, my mother-in-law has friends, a core group of friends, and she's approaching 90, a core group of friends that she's known for 70 plus years. And they all still hang out together. And she is sharp, and very happy, actually. And there's an actual term for these lifelong friendships. In Okinawa, it's called the moai. These are people, often centenarians. One of the largest populations of centenarians in the world is in Japan, who've had relationships with their friends for as long as I've just been talking about with my mother-in-law, 50, 60, 70 years. They join clubs, take classes, and participate in community activities together. They maintain old friendships and aren't afraid to make new ones. They understand that social connection is as vital to survival as food and water. So remain eager to maintain relationships and build new ones. If you're getting close to retirement, look at ways today to stay connected and improve those connections in the future. Number 8, maintaining good health, at least age-appropriate health, because you're not going to have the same health at 20 as you do at 60. That's just not biologically possible, although some people come really, really close. It's hard to be happy if you're not healthy. Ask anyone who's been sick for a long time, and they'll tell you that even if they're happy, they're not as happy as they could be. Happy retirees stay active all through their golden years, and they enjoy what I call the ings: hiking, running, swimming, walking. Add another ing to something, and there's that for your list too. Physical activity keeps their bodies strong and their minds sharp. Tennis, for example, is an excellent activity in retirement because it combines social and physical activities, which, of course, is exactly what we're talking about. Of course, get your doctor's permission before you engage in any physical activity. And back to tennis. A Danish study found that tennis adds an additional 9.7 years to the length of a retiree's life, assuming that you continue to play throughout retirement, of course. That's an additional decade. Of course, not everybody can play tennis. At the beginning, I talked about my divorced friend who plays pickleball. But the important thing isn't the specific activity. It's an activity where you both get the exercise and engage with someone else for the rest of your life. You need to enjoy it, of course, but you also need to make it a lifelong pursuit. Golf is one that I'm particularly passionate about, but others are going to have different things. Number 9 is making good housing decisions. They don't live in McMansions. They don't live in huge golf community homes, although there's nothing wrong with that as long as you actually have, number 1, the money to afford it, and number 2, it's something you really want to do. But for the vast majority of people who buy these homes, they have the biggest gated community on the planet, but they're not happy. On the flip side, they don't automatically downsize to a small 1,500 square foot home. They need to know that their house or their apartment, wherever they're living, can accommodate visiting relatives who come into town because they want those relatives to be with them, not at the hotel, because if there's a hotel, well, they might just not come. More importantly, happy retirees know that their neighbors and networks are more important than the actual house itself. It can be tempting to move somewhere new and exciting, but if you have roots, think about the fact that you've established these long relationships over decades of your life, and you might not want to leave. Your friends, doctors, familiar places all add tremendous value in retirement. So before you sell your home and move all the way across the country, consider the fact that the grass isn't always greener on the other side, particularly if you move to a place like Arizona, where they don't have grass at all. Just saying. Number 10, they have excellent investor discipline. Whether you're talking about a few $1,000s or a few $1 million, they don't jump on every hot trend. They don't panic when the market drops. They have the wherewithal to maintain calm and focus because they've been through it before. They look for income opportunities like dividend stock or fixed income. They don't try to time the market. They know that markets go up and they go down. But with consistent income coming in from their investments, they can maintain calm in a sea of not so calm. Finally, they focus on tomorrow, not just today, and they balance future needs with current needs. This steady approach helps them sleep at night while still growing their money. These habits create a blueprint for a really happy retirement, but the good news is you can start now even if you're not quite there when it comes to retirement. And if you're already in retirement, well, you have the blueprint right in front of you and just start taking them off. Anything that you're not doing that you want to do. Small changes will lead to great happiness in your future. If you like this video, check out that video, 10 bad assets that will make a retiree poor. Also, if you like what you see, please consider clicking subscribe and turning on notifications and hitting the like button, because YouTube uses the number of likes in its algorithm to drive a video up in the search results, and I want to help as many people as possible. This is Jeff Schmidt, and I will see you in that video right there.